set? All right, great. Thank you, everybody, for your patience. We're going to begin this public hearing. Madam Clerk, let's start the record. It's Wednesday, March 24th, 2021. This is the City Council of Providence Committee on Finance. This is a public hearing. I'm going to call this public hearing to order. Madam Clerk, item number 1.
An ordinance amending Chapter 5, Buildings and Structural Appurtenances of the Code of Ordinances to add Article 10, Building Energy Reporting Program.
Thank you. Let the record reflect that Majority Leader Ryan is present, Councilman Correa is present, Councilman Anthony is present, Councilman Taylor is present, Councilman Guncalves is present, Councilman Espinal is present. Okay, thank you. With that, we've read the item into the record, and we're going to have our first speaker. Let everybody know you're going to have about 2 minutes to speak. I'm going to give you the mic. We'll, when your 2 minutes are up, I'll let you know, and we'll go from there. Okay, go to the next speaker. I need you to, when I announce your name, please announce your name into the record, who you are, where you're from, your address, and any contact information if you so be it, and then you can have the opportunity to speak on this matter, either for or against. Madam Clerk, the first person we're looking for is Susan Andrade, or A-N-D? Andrade.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
I'm so sorry.
Councilman Anthony?
Thank you so much. I was just wondering if we might hear from Leah Bamberger so she can introduce this matter, as the committee really hasn't heard anything about this, and she can give the overview first.
Is she even here? Okay, all right, well, that's fine, we can do that.
Ms. Bamberger, can you unmute yourself and state your name for the record?
Hi, good evening. My name is Leah Bamberger. I'm the Director of Sustainability for the City of Providence.
All right, you have 2 minutes, you can begin.
Okay, I had prepared, Councilman Anthony had asked me to give a longer overview, but I will
Just so you understand, everybody has to be treated fairly. This is a public hearing. This is not a City Council Committee on Finance. So you have 2 minutes, and you have the mic for 2 minutes, Ms. Bamberger, and you'll have another opportunity later on in the future, but at this time, you have the mic for 2 minutes. Go.
Absolutely. Well, thank you for taking this issue up. I know there's a lot of competing priorities. Of course, as you know, addressing the climate crisis there are no more critical issues than that. So thank you for your time. And the benchmarking ordinance or the Building Energy Reporting Ordinance is designed to require large buildings in the city to report their energy use, manage their energy use. This is a practice that City of Providence has been doing for many years. It helps building owners connect to the utility incentives that are available and that are paid by ratepayers. And it's really a critical strategy to meet our greenhouse gas reduction goals. Emissions account for 70% of our carbon footprint in the City of Providence. And this policy, which has been implemented in over 31 municipalities across the country, and 2 states have this policy for many years, and it's proven to save building owners money, create jobs, and meet our climate goals. So again, this is just a really instrumental policy for the city to meet our climate goals that the city has set. They're in line with the state and federal goals, and the City Council, has supported these goals as well. And I would just say, lastly, that we've done a tremendous amount of work to include stakeholders in the process. This work really began over 6 years ago, it began in 2017, so four years ago, where we had stakeholder meetings to put on policy. And we've continued to work with stakeholders and have made changes to accommodate various needs. And we're happy today to be before you with ample support from property owners, from advocates, from residents, and to say lastly, this was also a key strategy in the climate justice plan. So thank you again for taking up this issue and hearing from the public today.
Thank you, Ms. Bamberger. And Next individual, we have Susan Anderbois. Do you have her? All right, Ms. Anderbois. Can you hear us?
Hi, yes, can you hear me?
Yes, great. So you have, please state your name, where you live, and any other information you would like for the record. Then you have 2 minutes to state your pro or con in this matter.
Okay, terrific. Thank you so much, Chairman Igliozzi and members of the Finance Committee. So my name is Sue Anderbois. I am a resident and homeowner in the city of Providence. I live at 166 5th Street in Ward 3. I'm also the current chair of the Providence Environmental Sustainability Task Force, a seat I've had for a number of years. And I want to express my support for the Building Energy Reporting Ordinance. And I also want to communicate to you that the Environmental Sustainability Task Force has also voted to support the Building Energy Reporting Ordinance and did so more than a year ago. The stakeholder engagement on this has been thorough and has been going on for a long time. I also just want to point out a few things, knowing I only have a few moments. One is just reiterating what Leah said, that this is a really concrete step toward implementing the city's climate justice plan, which the city council has supported in the past, the goals of which and also the whole plan itself. And so this is just one concrete step. I also, in my professional life, have worked in energy efficiency policy for most of my career and can agree with Leah that the Building Energy Reporting Ordinance is something that has been going on in many cities across the country of many different sizes and scales, as well as several states. It's a tried and true policy. It's really not it's really not controversial, but it's really effective. And so just want to highlight that. And last but not least, I submitted into the record already, but we had more than 200 residents of the city of Providence express their support for this ordinance. That support went in as individual letters to each city council member. Every council member received at least one letter from a constituent, but many received up to 30. And that list has been submitted to the public record through the clerk's office. And we've also had a number of organizations signed in support. And that information has also been submitted into the public record as well. I'm happy to list them if that's helpful out loud right now. But I thank you for your time, and I'm excited to see the city council take this up. And I'm here to help implement or answer any questions at any time. Thank you so much.
Thank you for your time. Be well and be safe. The next individual is Rob Hart. Rob Hart. Mr. Hart, can you hear me, sir?
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Please state your name for the record, where you live, and you have 2 minutes. You can state your pro and con, or pro or con on this matter. You have the mic, sir.
Thank you. Good evening. My name is Rob Hart. I'm the energy manager for the city of Providence, and I live in Barrington, Rhode Island. And I've been working with the Office of Sustainability to be in the planning process for this ordinance. And I've been involved with a lot of the stakeholder outreach that's taken place to date. Also working directly with our utility partners that help to support this ordinance. And I just wanted to state for the record that our goal is to support the community to make this ordinance successful and to work proactively and collaboratively with the building owners to make sure that they can successfully, implement this ordinance if it's passed. This, as Leah mentioned earlier, this has been successfully rolled out in many cities around the country, from big ones like New York City to ones comparable to ours like Portland, Maine. And it's been demonstrated to have a substantially positive outcome in those municipalities. And with the support of the utility aggregation, it's a relatively simple process for building owners to take the data from the utility and input it directly into the portfolio manager software that's managed by the EPA to complete the reporting. And that's all I wanted to say up front, but I thank you, Chairman, for this time.
Thank you, sir. Be well and be safe. Next individual, we have Cliff Wood. Madam Clerk, could you please promote Mr. Wood?
Mr. Wood, can you state your name for the record?
Mr. Wood, can you hear me? Please state your name and address for the record, and you have 2 minutes, sir.
Thank you.
You have.
Thank you, Chairman. My name is Cliff Wood. I'm the Executive Director of the Providence Foundation. I'm also a resident of Providence. I live in the 3rd Ward, and I am here to comment and support the ordinance. I believe there was a letter that we sent to Councilwoman Anthony. I believe that's been submitted. If not, we'll submit that afterward. In general, we have some issues with this, mostly in the context of it being more difficult at times to develop in the city of Providence than would benefit, I think, us collectively, as we work very hard to help grow our tax base. And we run into some issues doing that are longstanding, and the membership who's involved of my membership that are involved in that kind of work initially had some issues with that in the context of other things like lack of predictability around tax stabilization ordinances, issues around taxation, permitting. They felt that this was an additional burden that just did not make our task much easier. However, we are very much aware of the need to address the climate crisis, both globally and locally. We spent well over a year working with Councilwoman Anthony, as well as Leah and other administration, and ultimately came to the conclusion that the overarching goal of this ordinance is worth our support. So with some caveats, as I mentioned before, we do think this makes sense. We do applaud Councilwoman Anthony for the work, and I can definitely say dogged commitment to seeing this come to fruition. And so we do support the ordinance.
Thank you, Mr. Wood. Thank you for your time. Be well and be safe.
Thank you, Chairman.
Okay. Next individual is Al Dalberg. Madam Clerk, please promote Mr. Dalberg. Mr. Dalberg, you have the mic. Please state your name and address for the record, and you have 2 minutes, sir.
Thank you, Chairman Igliozzi and members of the committee. My name is Al Dalberg. I live in Providence, 626 Angel Street. I'm Assistant Vice President for Government and Community Relations at Brown University, and I'm speaking tonight on behalf of Brown University. As one of the property owners who would be most affected by this ordinance, some might expect Brown to oppose it, since we will bear a bigger burden than most in complying with its reporting and mandates. But that's incorrect. We actually support this ordinance, and let me explain why. In February 2019, Brown pledged to reduce our greenhouse gas emissions by 75% by 2025 and to achieve net zero no later than 2040. Buying renewable power is a key part of achieving that pledge, and a 40 megawatt solar facility to power our campus is going up in North Kingstown today on an old gravel pit. But addressing energy use in our buildings actually came first. It was the first step we took to reduce emissions because it is so impactful, and it is often low-hanging fruit. And the very first step was doing an inventory of emissions and determining what interventions would be most effective to reduce our building's energy use. So we've taken a close look at this ordinance and given extensive feedback to Councilman Anthony and Leah Bamberger. We applaud both of them for their patience, their willingness to listen, engage in dialogue, suggest alternative language, and come to a solution that achieves their goals with consideration of the burden this will impose. We believe it is a worthwhile burden. Much of the work is front-loaded, setting up an account and portfolio manager system, linking to utility data to automatically upload the information, and then checking to make sure it is accurate. We have over 100 historic structures on campus, and making them energy efficient is difficult. We have laboratories with complex energy-hungry equipment, and you could not make an accurate energy comparison of those labs to other commercial buildings. We understand those challenges. No system is perfect, but this is a worthwhile initiative. It moves the city closer to reducing our energy use and greenhouse gas footprint, and we are happy to support it. So thank you, Chairman. Happy to take any questions.
Thank you. Next individual, be safe and be well, sir. Next is Andrew Poyant. Mr. Poyant, please state your name and your address for the record, and you have 2 minutes, sir. Mr. Poyet, you're muted, or Madam Clerk, do you have to unmute?
I got it. Thank you. Sorry about that.
No problem. You have 2 minutes, sir.
Thank
Please
you.
state your name and address for the record.
Okay. My name is Andrew Poya, and I live at 11 Trinidad Street in Providence, Ward 14. I am testifying on behalf of the Rhode Island chapter of the Sierra Club, and I'm testifying to support the building energy reporting ordinance. It's an important part of the city's plan in order to meet its climate justice goals, and both I myself and the Sierra Club support this ordinance. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Be well and be safe.
You too.
Next, we have Sheila Darmity, Madam Clerk. Ms. Darmity, please state your name and address for the record, and you have 2 minutes. Or did you find it?
Yes, Sheila.
Thank you, Chairman. I'm Sheila Darmity of Enfield Avenue in the Elmhurst neighborhood of Providence, the Ward 14 side of the street. I'm also the Rhode Island Director of Climate and Cities Programs for the Nature Conservancy. Thank you so much for the opportunity to express my strong support for the Building Energy Reporting Program. I greatly appreciate the City of Providence's commitment to addressing the climate crisis, and we know that we have all already begun to experience the impacts of climate change, and that our environmental justice neighborhoods have experienced the worst of it. This ordinance is a critical step towards achieving the city's goal for carbon neutrality, and the science tells us that that goal to become carbon neutral is essential to stave off the worst potential effects of climate change. And with this ordinance, you know, it's often said that you can't manage what you don't measure. And right now, we just don't have good information about building energy consumption. This ordinance will give us the information that we need to help track our progress. Even more than that, it'll help inspire property managers to take advantage of energy efficiency programs, and it'll help tenants of our larger buildings to make smart and informed choices. Lastly, I came to appreciate Energy Star Portfolio Manager really when I served in Leah's role when I was the Sustainability Director back in 2011 to 2014. In those years, we were just beginning to manage all of our buildings in the system. And I can testify that it was very easy to use, and it gave us the essential information that we needed to work with National Grid and assess and prioritize our opportunities for energy efficiency upgrades. And the investments that we made in those years they're still saving us money, they're still saving tax dollars and still reducing pollution. And so the city's long experience in using this program will be of great help to property managers as they're getting up to speed if they need any assistance in getting into the program. I strongly support this ordinance and encourage you to pass it. Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you. Thank you for your time. Be safe and be well. Madam Clerk, we have James Crowley. James Crowley? Mr. Crowley, can you hear me, sir? There you are. Sir, please state your name and address for the record, and you have 2 minutes, sir.
Thank you, Chairman Igliozzi and members of the committee, and thank you to Councilwoman Anthony and the other sponsors for introducing this ordinance. My name is James Crowley, and I'm an attorney at the Conservation Law Foundation in Providence. I live in Coventry, Rhode Island. I'm here to speak in support of the Building Energy Reporting Ordinance, which will reduce energy costs for businesses and help the city to conserve energy and meet its goal to be carbon neutral by 2050 by requiring large building owners to benchmark their buildings, energy use, and report their data to the city. Benchmarking means measuring a building's energy use and then comparing it to the average for similar buildings. It allows owners and occupants to understand their building's relative energy performance and helps identify opportunities to cut energy waste and be more efficient. More efficient buildings save residents and businesses money and help to address the climate crisis, because the cleanest, cheapest energy is the energy that we don't use at all. Buildings account for over 70% of Providence's greenhouse gas emissions, which means that improving the energy efficiency of buildings is critical to achieving the city's goal to become carbon neutral by 2050. This ordinance represents meaningful action to decarbonize the city's buildings and lower energy bills for residents and businesses. We ask that you support its passage. Thank you for your time, and I'm happy to respond to any questions.
Thank you, Mr. Crowley. Thank you for your time. Be safe and be well. Next, we have Howie Snyder. Madam Clerk? Look for the last four digits of 0375. If that helps. We can come back if you can't find it at this time.
You're in the attendee list, not as a panelist. I believe they need to be promoted.
Betty Baird, the clerk, she's working on it. Also let the record reflect that Councilwoman Castillo is present. Okay, let's go to the next person, then we'll try to go back. Okay. All right, is Priscilla De La Cruz? Okay. Next is Kai Salem. Salem? There you go. Perfect. Kai Salem or Salem? Can you hear me? They're muted. If you can unmute the person. Okay, there. Welcome. Please state your name and address for the record, and you have 2 minutes.
Thank you, Chair Igliotti and the committee. My name is Kai Salem. I live at 68 Dexter Street in Ward 13. But my comments today are on behalf of Green Energy Consumers Alliance. Green Energy Consumers is a nonprofit advocate. We work to speed the transition to a low carbon future. For years, we have been very involved in advocating for and developing Rhode Island's energy efficiency programs and policies. We work so hard to promote energy efficiency in our state because it's the most cost-effective way to reduce emissions while saving money for everyone in Rhode Island. In many instances, the more that building owners or tenants invest in energy efficiency, the more they save on their energy bills and in the comfort and safety of their building. But sometimes people don't know all of the resources available to them in energy efficiency, or they aren't tracking their energy consumption well enough to know that energy efficiency and conservation could help them save money. Also, that's what this work is about, and we strongly support this ordinance. Although Rhode Island and the city of Providence have already benefited from energy efficiency initiatives, like switching to LED streetlights, there's a lot more that people in our city can do. We need new policies and programs to accelerate this work in energy efficiency, especially for the city's largest buildings that stand the most to gain. Buildings produce 70% of Providence's greenhouse gas emissions. In the long term, we might need to address these emissions through deep energy retrofits or electrification. But in the short term, we strongly support the adoption of this ordinance as a simple and necessary first step towards decarbonization. It's a policy proven in many other cities around the country. Boston has had this for years, and it's becoming the basis of their new performance standards proposed policy. It would create a central repository for data and information that we can use to support energy efficiency and utility bill reduction in our city. And it provides structure and tools for building owners who might not already know how to do this work. Finally, we believe that this ordinance reflects the strong work done by the Office of Sustainability and the Racial and Environmental Justice Committee to develop a climate justice plan. And we urge you to recommend the passage of the Building Energy Reporting Ordinance. Thank you so much for the opportunity to comment.
Thank you for your time. Thank you very much. Did you find the person? Okay, Matt. Be safe and be well. Looks like we found Howie Snyder. Madam Clerk, could you please promote Mr. Howie Snyder?
Hi, everybody. Sorry about that.
No problem. Please state your name and your address for the record, and you have 2 minutes, sir.
You got it. Good evening. I'm Howie Snyder. I'm the director of the Steel Yard at 27 Sims Ave in Providence, Ward 13. Councilman Igliozzi, Finance Committee, councilors, really, I'm calling in tonight to support the Barrow Ordinance wholeheartedly, and really calling from the perspective of a business owner and operator in Providence. Some of you may know the work of the Steel Yard. We have a 4-acre property, a 12,000 square foot facility that provides education, access, and facilities for the industrial arts in Olneyville. And we decided to voluntarily participate in the Repower PV project a couple of years ago, doing very much the same energy reporting that will be required by this ordinance. And it was small, manageable effort to set up. The system, as people have said previously, was very easy to do, and now it's automated. But I really support it because the benefit that we gained from participating, after 2 years of measurement, we've understood our energy footprint and been able to decrease the amount that we spend on energy and really affect the bottom line of our business, which frankly gives us more resources that we can commit to the programs that we really need to provide in the community. I think that any business who participates in the program is going to find more benefit than downside, and we'll be able to save them money and give you and the council the tools that you need to manage the overall energy footprint of the city, which is so critical at this time of climate crisis. So you can affect the multiple bottom lines and really lead by supporting this ordinance. So thank you all for your efforts and time.
Thank you, Mr. Snyder, for your time. Madam Clerk, I think, is that everybody at this time?
No, I have Priscilla De La Cruz.
Okay. Madam Clerk, from Priscilla De La Cruz. Priscilla De La Cruz, please unmute. Please state your name and address for the record, and you have 2 minutes.
Hi, thank you very much, Chairman and fellow committee members. Thank you for your time. I'll keep my remarks brief. My name, for the record, is Priscilla De La Cruz, and I am also a Providence resident in Ward 14, testifying in support. I am the president of the Environment Council of Rhode Island and the Rhode Island director at Green Energy Consumers Alliance. My testimony today is on behalf of the Environment Council. To start, a little bit about the Environment Council. We're celebrating 50 years of developing and advocating for policies that protect and enhance the environment. And I want to stress that we're comprised of 70 organizations across the state, as well as individuals, and we represent over 50,000 Rhode Islanders. So our council as a whole is in support of the Building Energy Reporting Ordinance. Why are we in support? Well, this ordinance builds on the hard work of the Providence Office of Sustainability and the Racial Environmental Justice Committee, or REJC, on their work to develop the climate justice plan that centers climate justice and also includes policy solutions like this ordinance. The ordinance simply requires larger buildings in Providence to report their annual usage to help make buildings more energy efficient and reduce greenhouse gas emissions, which is truly a critical step in reducing emissions and continuing to implement climate and environmental justice. Since, as you've heard today, buildings in Providence account for 70% of emissions. I'll add a phrase that I heard a friend share and really stuck with me. Today's buildings are by and large tomorrow's buildings. 80% of our buildings in 2030 are the ones that are here today. What this means is that any action we can take now to reduce energy usage in buildings will lead to decades of saved energy, saved money, and avoided pollution for residents and businesses of Providence. So for those reasons, the Environment Council urges this committee to recommend passage of the Building Energy Reporting Ordinance. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Thank you for your time. Be well and be safe. So, Madam Clerk, that's the end of the list of individuals who signed up. Is that correct?
That is correct, yeah.
Thank you. With that said, just going to add into the record, there are several emails from several individuals, Madam Clerk, and you can post them accordingly. I got about 12 emails just sent into the record as the appropriate exhibits, A through whatever, and make it part of the full record. With that, there's no more sign-up, no more public testimony on this matter at this time. We're going to now call this public hearing on item number 1 hereby closed. Thank you. Thank you all for participating. Madam Clerk, did you want to give some advice on what to do for the next meeting?
Yep.